Good afternoon. Professor Yunus is on his way. So we have about 10 minutes for a quick refreshment in case any of you would like to have tea, coffee. It's served outside. Else you can be seated. It's your choice. Yeah, thank you.
is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective. The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective. The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective. The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective. The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective. The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCEL believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective courses in the MBA programs, have been running for more than a decade now. We have graduated this more to a required course in our MBA curriculum. So that means we have made progress all along.
What you could typically expect is a one-on-one session, very undivided attention from our mentors, so that you could ask whatever you want. There's no right and wrong answers. So the more questions you ask, it'll help you to solve. Similarly, we also ask more questions for them so that it helps them to decide, it helps them to focus. And also we get down into some of the business plan thinking as well, so that they're in the right direction as far as what they want to do next.
The ability to kind of nurture entrepreneurial talent on campus, bring to bear many very valued stakeholders, alumni, faculty, student, corporates, and even the government, right? I think that's a very important aspect of what, and a unique position that NSRCEL would have. The fact that it's housed at a very prestigious institution, venerable institution, IIM, is very important.
A database of different inputs that startups need. Financial, accounting, business, HR, legal, all of that. Typically, most entrepreneurs struggle to find that at an affordable cost.
Over the years, we incubated close to 60 companies. We've also trained close to 1,000 women, and we have about 250 odd entrepreneurs and family businesses who have been trained and who are now working in their own ventures.
The support and the belief that they have in your company and the extent of support they are willing to give it is something great, and we have enjoyed the work throughout our incubation period in NSRCELWEP.
Guide you, they handhold you through that process of from an idea to an execution. And it also opens up phenomenal opportunities to hire really smart people, because the campus in which you're sitting is so beautiful and the brand that is backing you is so amazing that people want to work with you.
The fact that I'm able to meet fellow startups and hear the stories is very inspiring. And also to learn from the academia, the best in academia, on some of the effective ways to run a startup has been very helpful too.
Very soon in future, our impact, our reach of entrepreneurial education is going to be far, far higher than what it is today.
So if you have an interesting idea and you are trying to be remarkable, one of the places that you could come to is NSRCEL.
The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCELWEP believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective The entire focus is on exposing them to a career as an entrepreneur and the immense possibilities it promises for them. We at NSRCELWEP believe that the entrepreneurial skill is almost very close to a life skill. MPWE is more than a decade old. MPEFB is going to admit its 10th cohort this year. The PGP elective, that is the elective courses in the MBA programs, have been running for more than a decade now. We have graduated this more to a required course in our MBA curriculum. So that means we have made progress all along.
What you could typically expect is a one-on-one session, very
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vrinda, and I'm glad to extend a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of NSRCEL. We are truly honored today to host Professor Mohammed Yunus, an economist, a social entrepreneur, and a banker with a difference. The bank that he founded, Grameen Bank, and Professor Mohammed Yunus were awarded Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 for pioneering the concept of microcredit. Currently, in addition to contributing to several global organizations and think tanks, Professor Yunus has co-founded Yunus Social Ventures, Yunus Social Business, which is a venture fund for nonprofits. And that kind of brings us to the topic of venturing and entrepreneurship. So NSRCEL, the center of all entrepreneurial activity at IMB campus, is one of the oldest established incubators in the country. In addition to helping several thousand entrepreneurs since 2002, so we have helped these entrepreneurs find their feet in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. In addition to that, we have actively incubated 67 ventures that have created close to 10,000 jobs, and their combined valuation today stands at $1 billion. So many of our ventures are actually social sector enterprises. We have always had an affinity towards selecting ideas which are more socially relevant. And now we are going a step further in this journey, and we have recently launched, in association with Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, a special initiative called NSRCEL Social. Under that, we plan to incubate non-profit social impact organizations. The aim is to bring the best of both worlds together, social and capital. So we want to bring them together to form impactful, sustainable ventures, ventures with a socially sensitive heart and a sound business head. So how do we create that? How do we create and scale these social businesses? Let's learn from the insights of one of the most influential global thinkers of today, Professor Mohammed Yunus. Sir, may I please request you to...
No, it's okay. I can use this.
Oh, okay. So you can sit there.
Good afternoon. Well, it's an honor and privilege to be here and kind of sharing some of the experiences that we have gone through. It's not really a lecture of the kind that you are usually used to. I'll just try to kind of narrate some of the experiences that we have gone through in our work. I think first point to make in our journey as it revealed along the way, that it was not something that I planned for. Sometimes people plan something and follow that path. So this is quite different that way. Everything I did in the past, even doing now probably, is done pushed by the circumstances, not as a planned thing that you want to do something. But along the way we have some thoughts that the direction, what we want to go, but we don't know exactly how it will be done. The first thing that became familiar to many people because of the Nobel Prize and all this attention is the microcredit. But before microcredit, I also got involved with something else. And that also, to me, very important. It all began because of the famine in Bangladesh. Two things. One is the independence of Bangladesh, separating out from Pakistan. That was a big moment of excitement, release of energy, all kinds of things. I was teaching in the States at that time, campaigning for independence of Bangladesh, lobbying in the Congress to support the cause of Bangladesh. US was supporting Pakistan. After all this happened, Bangladesh became independent at end of 1971. Immediately I resigned from my job, from the university. They persuaded me to complete the semester. I did, and immediately after the semester is over, I'm done. Came back. With lots of enthusiasm, excitement. Finally it happened. Bangladesh was a devastated country by that time because of the war. Since I always wanted to be a teacher, I enjoyed teaching, so I became a teacher in one of the universities in Bangladesh, Chittagong University. It's a brand new campus. I love that. But the situation of the country started sliding down very fast. Already devastated. You thought it can't go wrong, but it's went more and more wrong. By 1974, we had a terrible famine. People dying of hunger. It's one thing to read about famine in the books. To live through it is a completely different experience. Here you are, very excited young teacher of economics, teaching elegant theories and mesmerized by his beauty. Suddenly seeing people die moment by moment, inching towards death, but not having tiny little food for them. It's very difficult to match these two, elegant theories and the realities. In the classroom, I would feel as if I'm watching a movie in artificial world. And as long as you're in the movie, you don't have any other concerns. You get mesmerized by the beauty of the movie. When you step outside the classroom, suddenly reality jumps over you. So soon I concluded that economics is a subject that I learned, which is a useless subject. It has no meaning for the life of the people. See, not that way. Seeing that it has no use whatsoever in the circumstances that I was in. And then I feel that learning this subject, I became a useless person myself. Because I have no use for anybody. That hit me very hard. After spending all these years, I turned to be a useless person. Cannot be useful to anybody. And I felt guilty that I'm passing this knowledge to my students. I thought I'm doing such a wrong thing. So I was trying to discover a way when I can feel some use left in me. So I went through that depression and finally found a way out in my own way. Why don't I go to the village next door? Chittagong University is a beautiful university, but right in the middle of the villages. It was very interesting to know about that, because one of our military rulers of Pakistan, Ayub Khan, he decided during his regime he will build universities away from the cities because students are troublemakers. So he wanted to keep the students away from cities. We became the beneficiary of it. in another way. We didn't realize that. We were born right in the middle of these villages. So I said, since this is an advantage, why don't I just step outside the campus and be in the village? It's so convenient. And I thought, why don't I try to make myself useful to at least one person? I cannot do more. I've lost all this capacity to do it by choosing the wrong subject. Why don't I see if I can make myself useful to at least one person? And then added 1% a day. Any tiny thing. Doesn't matter what it is. So that became my work, continue. Then first thing I noticed was the lack of food because of the famine and all that. Beautiful land outside in the periphery of the village. Barren. No crop at all. Why? Because this is a dry season. Traditionally, at that time, Bangladesh never grew a dry crop. Always is a rain-fed crop. And we had enough to do that. But today, population has increased. By that time, we couldn't have enough to produce. We are a food importing country at that time. So what do? The first thing, why don't we grow more food for the village? I cannot solve the problem of the country, but I can help together with the villages to produce enough to feed the village. So that kind of got into my head. So I started negotiating with the villagers, talking to them. They gave 101 explanations why they do not do that. One of them, big one, water. There's no water. So I ran around with the government offices to get permission to set up a deep tube well. Government's program has a deep tube well program. They said, no, you don't have to do it. We can do it. So they sank a deep tube well. So my job is to do the deep tube well. The problem is how to manage the deep tube well. They got into a lot of trouble because you have to raise money to buy the diesel to run the deep tube well, distribute the water. That management capacity couldn't be there. So they lost the crop. And they don't want to do it again. They promised they will never do it again. They fought over so much. Said, no. They used a very interesting sentence for me. He said, we don't want to go back to the deep tube well because we don't want to eat bitter rice. I didn't understand what a bitter rice. It's because we fought so much of this rice. We rather go hungry than eat bitter rice. So I thought about it. What do we do? I came up with an idea to go fast, to explain. Gave them a formula in a meeting in the night. All the farmers are there. I said, I'll create a committee. The committee will give you water. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is to go and raise the crop. And the committee will give you water. Committee will give you fertilizer. Committee will give you seeds. Anything that you have to spend money, committee will do that. You don't have to do anything. But there's a catch. The catch is when his harvest is ready, for every plot, it will be divided into 3 parts. One part will go to the committee. Another part will go to the landowner. Another will go to the sharecropper. Most of them are sharecroppers. Owners are far away. Usual rule in Bangladesh is half and half. Sharecropper gives everything, all expenses, fertilizer, seed, water, but you have to give half to the owner. Very tough for the sharecroppers. So we made it change, 1/3 sharecropper, 1/3 to the owner, 1/3 to the committee. Committee will give everything. They thought, no, this is too much, we can't do share. Owner said this 1/3 is too little for me, I always get half. So it went through. Finally, we agreed. We did that. We called it 3-share program. And I was very happy that it worked. They cheated the committee a little bit because they are the one harvesting. I'm not the one harvesting. So they didn't need the 1/3 that was promised to give, but it worked. I will not go far into it. Then I saw that sharecroppers got the share, landowner get it, but poor people are not in the picture for the reason I am there. So that worried me. What do I do? So I was thinking what kind of program that I should take. In the meantime, I became very familiar with the village because we became integrated. I'm not outsider anymore because I'm very much in the middle of their debates, discussions, shouting. So I'm part of that. I became very familiar now with the loan sharking in the village. The more I see it, more horrified I get. Here is a village which is going through famine, and people are lending tiny little money to poor people. And in the name of lending money, they grab everything they got, make them totally pauper. I wondered, how do you deal with this kind of situation? Economics never taught me anything like that. I read about loan sharking and so on as a description, not as a solution. And it's not only in Bangladesh, not only in one village, it's all over the world, even the richest country. Nobody pays any attention to it. Later I found out in rich countries they do it in a style. They call it payday lenders. Big signs, big television ads, no question asked. Money is given in 5 minutes. But they don't tell interest rate is 5,000%, 3,000%. That's what this usual payday lenders rate. I said, what do you do in a case like this? These are not folks in the city who can cope with this. It's a very small little family with a lot of struggle. They gave up everything. So as I was wondering what to do, suddenly a thought came to my mind. I cannot solve this problem of the world, but I can definitely solve the problem of a few people in this village. Why don't I lend the money myself? I don't have to have a research project. I don't have to write a journal article about it. Just go ahead and lend money. Problem will be solved. Because whoever is taking the money doesn't have to go to the loan shark. He or she is protected. That idea excited me. Yes, I can do that. I still have some money in my pocket, money that I earned teaching in the States. So merrily I was offering them to take the loan. I was not sure how they will react, but they reacted very enthusiastically. In the beginning, few people came, but as the word passed around, it became bigger and bigger crowd. Everybody wants to borrow from me. I was not unhappy about it at all. I was very happy, meaning that this must be useful to them. I'm doing something. That gave me confidence and an enthusiasm to do more. And soon it became very popular. And as it became popular, more people keep coming from other villages also. And I realized that my money is running out. What do I do? I didn't want to stop that because I'm so happy doing that. So I was thinking of a way how to continue this without stopping it. I came up with an idea. I said, why don't I go to the bank which is located in the campus? Every campus has banks. We had to. to propose to them, why don't you lend the money? This is your business, not my business. I did. I talked to the manager. He literally fell from the sky. He couldn't believe that a sane person can say something like that. He said, don't you know bank cannot lend money to poor people? I said, I don't know. I never took a course in banking. He said, no, bank cannot do that. I said, why not? Tell me. He said, because they're not creditworthy. I said, what is creditworthy? He says, because they don't have any money, I give the money, they will eat the money. They can't pay back. I said, I'm giving them, they're paying me back. Or maybe they are afraid of you. I said, I will make you afraid of, I will make them afraid of you too. Why didn't you lend the money? No, bank cannot do that. So it became a big struggle. I cannot persuade him, he cannot persuade me. I became very agitated in the discussion, day after day. I started accusing all the banks. I said, you created a very funny institution. You call it a bank. You are supposed to lend money to people. What you do, you lend money to people who already have lots of money. And you don't lend money to people who don't have money. This is totally illogical. I said, you should have done the other way. He laughs. He thought I'm making jokes with him. So that struggle that I began continued ever since. It never stopped. It still continues. Still they have not changed. Do the same way and create a lot of problems for the world. So I started talking to the big guys on the banks, on the top. Everybody gave me the same answer, cannot be done. Finally, I learned a little bit in the conversation. So I used that. I said, why didn't you accept me as a guarantor? I become the guarantor, sign every single piece of paper you give me, and you give the money. If they don't pay back, I pay back. I put everything on stake. You can take it. They were not too happy about it. They were not convinced by my argument. But after 3 months of this negotiation, finally they agreed. Not because they are convinced by my argument or because of my guarantee, because I was becoming too much of a nuisance for them. And they thought if they give the money and the poor people will never pay back, and I'll never come back to them again. Because if I come back, I have to pay the money. I said, whatever you agreed, that's good enough for me, let's proceed. We proceeded, and it became bigger and bigger. And as it is becoming bigger, they become more worried. Because they thought it will collapse, and they will come back to me. It's not collapsing, it's flourishing. They thought all this money will go as it goes big, because it has to ultimately collapse. This is their complete decision or thinking that it will definitely collapse. But it's not collapsing. So since they are reluctant, it made me very upset, very angry, I should say. I thought, forget about these banks. These banks will never be useful to the poor people. Why don't they create a bank for the poor people? That idea came. And I pursued that point. In 1983, we became a formal bank. It's a long journey, but made it happen. We are excited that finally we made it. We called it Grameen Bank, Village Bank. There is a reason why we called it Grameen Bank. Because I was saying banks exist only for the rich, and the rich in the cities. It doesn't exist in the rural areas. I said people live in the rural areas. They do business in the urban areas so that they don't have to deal with the real people. So I said, as a kind of protest against it, I'll create a bank for the villages. Called it Village Bank, Grameen Bank. And the rest is history. It grew and grew and grew. We enjoyed it. Today it has over 9 million borrowers. 97% of them are women. So we focused on women because, again, it's a protest against the conventional banks. They lend money to men. We decided we'll lend money to women. And first decision was to make it 50-50. Half the borrower must be women. They said, no, we lend money to women. Who said we don't? I said, your statistics say you don't have, not even 1%. What can we do because they don't come to us? I said, they do come, but you don't give. No, that's not true. I said, it's true. I said, your rules are done to discourage women. How? When a woman comes with a loan proposal, even she is a rich woman, manager will always look at the proposal and quietly ask, have you discussed it with your husband? Why don't you bring your husband along next Monday so that we can discuss it? I asked them, has it ever happened in the history of Bangladesh banking? A man came with a proposal. Manager looks at it, says, have you discussed it with your wife? Why don't you bring your wife along next Monday? I said, that's where you go wrong. So anyway, I decided half the borrowers will be women. It was extremely difficult to get to women. We could physically go, not me. As a man, I cannot go to them. Very restrictive system at that time, not today. So I sent my girl students. I'm still a teacher. So they became my army of workers. Everything that I'm doing with these students. And by the way, they remained with me when we became a bank. They remained with me for the last 40 years down there. They are retiring. They are all the big bosses of the bank. Those were the class. So when you talk about Grameen Bank, the same band of young people who started in the village after village and built it by piece, those are all students. So I take the girls to go to the women to explain. They don't agree. They say, no, don't give it to me. I never touch money in my life. Give it to my husband. I said, here we go again. So my girl students, they're getting tired and tired trying to talk and convince the women. They say maybe we should pay attention to men, not women will take time. I said, no, we strictly follow that principle of half and half. So what do we do? I said, very simple thing. As you talk to women, when she says, I cannot take money, I'm afraid of money, I never handled money in my life, always remember, this is not her voice. It is the voice of the history which made her. So our job is to peel off that history from her, layer by layer. Bring her up, the real person. Not everybody will come quickly at the same time, but some of them will, out of desperation, out of courage. If they take the money and be successful, I can bet you other women will become very jealous. And they will be saying, okay, I can do better than that. How did she get the money? So we'll tell the story, how did she get the money, how to get the money, you can get the money too. But I say, soon it will snowball. But we have to wait for that moment. It did. It worked. we were very patient. It took us 6 years. We never stopped pursuing that point. Then we celebrated that finally we made it. Everybody said women has no use for money, they waste the money, they're doing wonderful work. Not only that, we saw money going to the family through women. Brought so much more benefit to the family than the money going to the family through men. Same amount of money going to the man. This amazes me. Illiterate woman. But the way she reacts, she handles herself. I keep saying that they are illiterate, but they are not stupid. They are very smart women. They know exactly what they need to do. So we followed that. So as a result, we changed our policy. Forget about 50-50. Focus on women. So we started focusing on women. We said, Grameen Bank is not just a bank like everybody else. It's a social organization. It's a mission-driven organization. So we simply give the money, they pay us back. That's not enough for us. Our every step has to have a meaning to life of the people. And this is one step we should not hesitate to take. That made us very unpopular among men. Husband was extremely angry because he took it as a clear case of insult. Because he is the one who should handle money. Who is she? What does she know about money? They thought it was just to irritate him we did that. So we had to go through lots of ways to calm him down. Because if you don't calm him down, something terrible happens. He beats up the wife. He takes the money from the wife and wastes that money. And the woman cries and cries and cries. What could you do? So I said, and sometimes we see in the beginning, it comes to a stage where about to utter those 3 terrible words. Talaq. And it's finished. Nobody can save you. So we kind of withdrew ourselves to think about it. We don't want to destroy families. So we came out very elaborate way how to address this. We made session after session with the women. How to take the money, how to protect it. Protect the money and protect the marriage at the same time. Women are extremely efficient diplomats. They got the message right away. So we had a role play, night after night. What would I do when I bring the money home when my husband asks me, how much money did you get? Next question is, give it to me. How do I address this? So we go through them. They come up with one answer after another answer. No, this will not work, this will not work. Try this one. Maybe, but not this good enough. So go on, how to answer that question. And what will be the next question, what will be the next question? So that still I have the control over the money without making him very angry. Because getting him angry is a disaster. So we have a role play. One of them will become the husband. One of them will become the new borrower, his wife. He brings the money home. How they behave, what the husband says, what she says. And somebody, no, don't say that. So she withdraws, try it again. She says this maybe. So husband is also innovative guy, the woman. She makes another attack. So that they prepared. And we go through long process. Then we call up the meeting of the husbands. They are terror as an individual. But when you get them together and a bank has invited you, they are very docile people. Very submissive. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we take advantage of that. Explain what we do. Ask them, do you have any objection? This is a good time to tell us. Otherwise, you may regret. So they express their worries. We're worried that she cannot pay back. She never handled money. So ultimately, you will ask me to pay back. That's what our worry. So they gave example. We said, no, we'll never come back to you for money. That for sure we can give you in writing. You can show it to anybody. It goes on, and we take care of that. We give lots of examples, something emotionally very attractive to them. In order to save time, I'll not go to them. Then we'll have a meeting of combined, husband and wives all together. Repeat everything that we say to each other so that we can say, this is the message we got. I'm telling this because it's a very elaborate preparation. It's not simply go and give the money to women. Women is very difficult situation. It's not easy. We overcome that. Today, the relationship between husband and wife is much closer because of what we have done, because the income that they get in the family. And sometimes it surprises me when I'm visiting villages and meeting people, the women telling what they're doing with their family members, and one of them will say, I want to ask, who is he? He's my manager. I said, meaning? He's my husband. See, she introduces her husband as the manager of her business. Nobody ever dared to say something like that before. And he gives a very innocent smile. But he really is, because wife is much smarter than him. So he really accepts the job he asks him to do. It's a very friendly relationship. Not that she is trying to humiliate him or anything. So this is how it began and ended. And in the meantime, we did lots of things. We got into lots of controversy. I will skip all those controversy that we faced. One is very interesting one I want to share because it has some other cycles of argument that will come. People keep telling that giving money to women is not a good idea. Because you have to find, in order to make it real banking, you have to find entrepreneurs. And women are not entrepreneurs. I said, why do you say all these things? I give money to anybody, women, men, anybody I do. I know it will work. I cannot go on finding entrepreneurial poor for you. They said, no, you have to find entrepreneurial poor so that your money get used properly. Then I realized the best thing I did in my life, I never studied banking. So I could go ahead with my own thought. I didn't have to be guided by what books said. That it puzzled me. Why do they say women are not entrepreneurs? Or it would be difficult time to find entrepreneurial poor women. I don't find any difficulty giving loans to anybody. I never ask, are you an entrepreneur? She's the one saying, I don't know anything. And I'm the one saying, oh, no problem. We'll figure it out. Come back. And I saw all the things we are doing, it's just the opposite of what banks do. When you talk about microcredit, you think it's a tiny loan given to poor women. That's not it. It's almost the reversal of everything the banks do. Banks go to the rich, we go to the poor. Banks go to men, we go to women. Banks do the job in the city center, we go to the remote village. Banks want collateral, we said no collateral. Banks bring lawyers, we say no lawyers. It's the only lawyer-free bank in the whole world. We don't need any lawyer. You go step by step. One of our first principle was, before even we got into one branch, people should not come to the bank. Bank should go to people. So again, it's a reverse, what you do. Banks are owned by rich people. Grameen Bank is owned by poor women. Borrowers are the owners of the bank. So, step by step. So there you are telling that they are not entrepreneurs. How do they say that? So this became a big controversy in every single intellectual conferences and so on. I have to justify why I do the things. I'm always on the dock because everybody says it's wrong. And I have to justify why I do that. One thought came to my mind, why don't I demonstrate in a clearer way that all people are entrepreneurial? How do I do that? One idea came, why don't I start lending exclusively to beggars? Just beggars. And among the beggars, I also defined to my staff, my colleagues, they should be generational beggars. Their grandparents were beggars. Their parents were beggars. Now they are beggars. Find those beggars. So with enthusiasm, we got ready to find out who are the generational beggars. And we found them, talked to them. Very simple message. Tell them, as you go from house to house begging, in the village they go house to house begging for food, for a little change, so that they can feed themselves. Would you care to carry some merchandise with you? Some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids, and seasonal things people may like. And we make it sound easy. Tell them, you go there anyway. This is not an extra job for you. All you do, carry some merchandise and tell people that, look, you have something to sell. Some people may be interested in buying something. Then you have a business going. They like the idea. How much loan they wanted? $10, $12, $15, that's about it. And they bought the stuff, bought a little bag. As they bag, they have the merchandise with them. I tell my colleagues, I said, now their business have two divisions. One is the begging division, and it's a sales division. So the new division they opened. I'm making jokes. But it became serious. After a while, we thought maybe we'll have 1,000, 1,500 beggars in that program, just to experiment. Can beggars, see, kind of generational beggars, can reveal their entrepreneurship? That's the challenge for me. I had no idea. We've ended up nearly 200,000 beggars in the program. Everybody wants to join that. When I go around talking to them, finding out what they're doing, very interesting remarks they make. I'll just give you one or two. One, they will say, they already know which house is good for begging. Which house is good for selling. I tell my colleagues, see, they didn't go to the Harvard Business School. They already know the market segmentation. They figured it out. And what are the items sell well? They start with something, but by getting the reaction, they change the portfolio continuously. Within 2 years' time, more than 25% of the borrowers, all the beggars, quit begging completely. So I got a new fodder for my argument. I said, look, even a beggar can become a business person, given an opportunity. When my colleagues say, well, they are taking too much time, if they have already 25% got out of it, how come the 75% is not coming quickly? I said, don't rush them. Begging is their core business. You don't abandon core business so easily. Let them get settled down with the new division. Then they will decide what to do. And that's it. Now they are repeating it, continuously moving up. So I'm telling this because of a very core information message that I have. I'm saying that all human beings are entrepreneurs. Our theories are wrong. Our theories ask us to become workers, job seekers for somebody else. And I keep saying, human beings are not born to work for anybody else. It was never in our history until some great theoreticians built the whole economic theory. That is the complete disaster. When we are in the caves, remember those days? We are not sending job applications. From cave number 5 to cave number 10. We are complete people. Each human being by himself, by herself, is a complete person. That's what the nature has produced us. We struggled with everything. We created our own space. We have not done it by working for somebody else. We became hunters, we became gatherers, we became farmers, we became problem solvers. That's in our blood. We are problem solvers. But theory has took us everything out. We became order takers. We take orders from others. How obediently we can do that, that's a competition. Forgot that what we're coming from. And that created a completely different kind of world. Our education system is also helping because that's the only game in the town. You have to find a job. So I see the second generation of Grameen families, which is completely different from the first generation, the borrowers, the women. They're illiterate. Second generation, we made sure they're 100% literate. Nobody can skip that. I said, we changed the history here, stop the history here. Illiteracy stops at the parents' generation. It cannot touch anybody from the second generation on. We gave them education loan. They became graduates, they became doctors, they became engineers. Once you have the money, you have everything. You go, you compete with schools and things. You do everything like everybody else, all the young people. But that came out in a very different way for me. Outcome. They keep complaining, attacking me. No jobs. Why did you send me to school? And I became puzzled. What do we do? I remembered. I'm saying that all people are entrepreneurs. Why am I taking their question? I asked them the question. Who told you to go to get a job? Did your teacher tell you to do the job? Did your book tell you to have a job? Remember, job is an obsolete idea. It should have gone in the past centuries, but somehow it sneaked in. You remove all the thoughts about jobs from your mind, clean it up. Repeat to yourself again and again, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. And be a job creator. That's a big challenge. How do you do that? They say, I don't know how to start a business. They never taught us how to start a business. I said, shame on you. Go back to your mother. Remember your mother 25 years back? She took a loan, $20, $25, shaking like this. Cannot believe anybody trusted her with such an enormous amount of money. She took that challenge. Use this money, every penny, to run a business. She didn't use this money to take a job. And then year after year, she paid back every penny with interest and continued to build up her savings. And that's her history. Shame on your education. Throw away that education, which made you forget that you are a son or you are a daughter of that mother. Why don't you go back to your mother now? Forget about those education. Learn again what she has done. If your illiterate mother can do all this, what is the use of your education? Throw away that education. You don't need it. So what we have done, we created funds called Social Business Fund. That social business idea, again, something came to me on the way. So this we create Social Business Fund. We talk about social business as a different kind of business. Business to solve problems rather than make money. I said, money has blinded us. Money has turned into robots, money-making robots. We forgot that we are human beings. Selfishness took over us. So we take the business to satisfy that selfishness, how to make more money and more money. So we became, in the process, money-making robots. We forgot who we are. We forgot that we have selflessness in us. Somehow somebody has to remind you, yeah, you have some selflessness left in you. Because books have told us that business is business. There's nothing else. So I'm reminding that we can do that. In the meantime, we have created a lot of businesses to solve problems. A series of them. One more interesting than others. As a whole class of them, we call them social business. And the characteristics of social business is based on selflessness. It's a non-dividend company to solve human problems. It doesn't take any dividend for any investor. Investor doesn't take dividend. Investor can take the investment money back. But it's his company or her company continues. The whole business is created to solve a specific problem. I'll give one or two examples later, but let me go back to the Social Business Fund. We created this fund as a social business. Ask the young people, second generation people have come in, come with a business idea. When once you give it, we approve it, and we become investor in your business. We are the venture capitalist. Venture capitalist minus money-making part of it. We raise that part. We do it because we want to of service to you. And it's our money. You become your operating partner. We become your financing partner. You make it successful. Return the money that we gave you and go on your way. And in the beginning, there is hesitation, but now thousands and thousands of young people come with beautiful business plans, and we keep on investing. This is 2.5 years now running. We have now over 12,000 young people running businesses. Every month we get about 1,000 more approved projects coming out of the stream. And they run good business. And each one learns from another. If my friend who is waiting for a job for the last 3 years couldn't get it, suddenly become a business person, I said, what the heck, what am I doing? I can do better than that. My performance in class was much better than him. Why am I sitting around? So he comes with that. And we made it very clear to all young people so that they don't get scared about this money. Lots of money suddenly getting into hand. I said, no business proposal, you as a person, you'll never be rejected. Your proposal may be up for a review, up for a renewal, so that we can work together so that you improve. You will never be rejected. So remain assured. It's a matter of time now. And once you get the money, you will never be abandoned. You can fail. You won't fail. We will fail because we are a partner. So we work together again to make sure we succeed. So you never have to get depressed. Oh my God, I lost everything. We lost everything. So we work hard again, make sure you ultimately become successful enough to return the money, move on with your life. It works. So social business is coming. This is another direction we have. one social business idea, quickly I will give. It's not in Bangladesh. Now Bangladesh has many social businesses, but it's spread in other countries. Two young women from Germany, they got so taken by the idea of social business. When I was speaking like this, they came out, they said, we want to do some social business. How do we do it? So we discussed how to do that. After a long process, they said, we are creating a company, social business company. But we want your name attached to it so that people understand what we're doing. I said, okay, let's see what you want to do. So we worked it out. They called it Yunus Social Business as a company. Based, their headquarters in Frankfurt. Now they work in many several countries, in Brazil, in Colombia, in Tunisia, Uganda, India, and Albania, and so on. In Haiti. Two examples I'll give. One example is from Yunus Social Business. It's in Haiti. You read about Haiti as a dysfunctional country. That's people will always remind you. And we started the social business there through Yunus Social Business. They set their company, Yunus Social Business Haiti. They created a lot of social businesses there. And I was visiting Haiti to see what they're doing. The first thing that struck me in the brief conversation, Haiti lost all its forest. In 1985, they still have 25% forest coverage. Today is less than 2%. What happened to their forest? People just go up and chop the tree to make charcoal and sell it in the market for cooking. So the cooking is eating up the entire forest. Next country is Dominican Republic, in the same island. If you fly from Dominican Republic to Haiti, you know exactly when you're entering the Haiti airspace, because everything is barren. Dominican is green, is barren. So among many things, I said, okay, let's create a social business to reforest entire Haiti. First, disbelief, how can you do that? It's a big job. I said, well, we go piece by piece. Forestry is a very good income generating activity. We can make it as an income generating activity. We can make it so that it can cover cost at the same time forest gets regenerated. So this is our big project in Haiti. It's an interesting project. We got lots of investors to support that. Another one is McCain. McCain is a company, let me put it this way. They were very interested in a social business idea. They approached me, they want to do social business. So I wanted to know who they are, what kind of company is that? I had no idea. They said, they were a little disappointed that I don't know them. Such a big company. They said, do you eat French fry? I said, yeah, I eat lots of French fry. So next time, wherever you eat French fry in the world, remember it is McCain's French fry. I said, oh my God, you're big. I said, you're big. We are 60% of the French fry business. They became interested. So we did a joint venture social business in Colombia. We called it Campo Vivo. This is in agriculture. The reason I'm mentioning this is exact replica of what I have done back home in Jobra, the village, the 3-share program. Because the farmers have no income. Landowners are huge, miles and miles of land. They don't even live there. Farmers don't have any land. And then coffee business disappeared and so on. So we created this whole idea of 3-share program again. We created this company called Campo Vivo that provides everything. You work and we share. It's all yours. They're very successful. They became so mesmerized by the idea of social business. The French or the European segment of the business, the CEO of European McCain, He said, I'm going to do social business in France because something always bothered me, but I didn't know what to do. Now I know what to do. I'll do social business. What is it? 26% of the potato grown in France are thrown away. Why? Because companies like McCain and others who use this potato don't buy them. What is the fault? They are not the right shape. See, shape matters. Even for potato. They are not good for French fry. They are not good for chips. They don't buy it, and farmers don't know what to do with it. They just throw it away. And 6% cannot be picked up under the ground because the big machines cannot pick them up. They created a company, social business company, Moyet Bien, something like that, French name, Good and Wealth, something like that. And buy up all these French potatoes, thrown away potatoes. What do? They turn them into potato soup. Soup doesn't need a shape. And became very popular because French chef became very interested in the idea of social business. One chef created a special recipe for social business potato soup. So in the supermarket, it's a very popular brand. They don't want to make money. Only thing they do is to use the food as food, not throw away. And they hire the unemployed young people. There are a lot of unemployed young people to do the job. That led to their next step. How ideas go from Campo Bibo to French fry or potato soup. Now they figured out 30% of the vegetables grown in Europe, 30%, almost 1/3, are thrown away. Vegetables, good vegetables. Why? They don't have the right shape. In the supermarket, when you put all the vegetables, they want them to be in a military formation. So those who don't fit into this military formation, are they too fat, too skinny, too fat on the top, too skinny in the bottom? It has to be uniform. And the whole industry, it is known as ugly vegetable. It's an official word. I'm not cooking it up. This is known as ugly vegetable. You check it out in Google. 30% is ugly vegetable. So good vegetables thrown away because nobody eats it. Their crime is they don't have the right shape. But they're good food. What this social business done, same company, buy up all the throwaway vegetables, chop them up, put them in a package, ready to cook vegetables. Simple. All good quality, nutritious food come back. That's social business. You don't see it when you're looking for money. When you're wearing the money-making glasses, many things you don't see. The moment you change your glasses, put on the social business glasses, suddenly you see lots of things can be done. Very easy. All it needs is just some creative thinking, very small little thing. Amazing things can happen. That's the power. To sum up what I've been there talking all the time, I say I put 3 zeros in front of me. That's what drives me. Zero number 1, zero poverty. We have to come back to that zero poverty. And zero number 2, zero unemployment. The whole word unemployment is an obsolete idea created by wrong, flawed thinking. It's not the fault of a person. A real human being cannot sit idle. It's not in a human being. A young person, well-trained, well-educated, smart in every way, sitting there because he doesn't have a job. I said, did the system put a spell on this guy? He cannot lift his fingers anymore? It did. It's literally like as fairy tales. Somebody put a spell on you. You get frozen, they get frozen. Because our minds are created like that. I got frozen. I can't do anything. Real human being doesn't sit idle. They're continuously creative people. They're always doing things to address the things which were never addressed before. That's what they really are. We completely changed that thing. So the whole word unemployment itself, the word unemployment should be unemployed. It should no use for us. Third zero, zero net carbon emission. We cannot survive on this planet pumping up a big carbonized economy. And Trump loves that. So this is where we are. And we have, in the process of all this wrong thinking, we created a funny, ugly economy. All the wealth of the world goes to only few people. 1% of the world population owns 99% of the wealth of the world. The recent information that's passed around in all papers, 8 people in the world, their pictures were New York Times and many other papers. We know them, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and all that. 8 people, Warren Buffett, Carlos Slim. 8 people in the world own more wealth than the 90% of the world's population. What can you do? Is this the world that we are so proud of? The capitalism has done such a wonderful thing. It took all the oxygen up in the bonfire at the top. We don't have any oxygen left. So what do we do? This is a ticking time bomb. It will explode anytime. And I kind of pushed the frontier a little bit by saying, Trump is a creation of that. Anger that you created at the bottom. I don't get anything. I work hard. These immigrants come and take away my job. They blame the immigrants. It's not the immigrants. It's not the Mexicans who are taking away your job. It's up there. So we work for them. If 99% wealth is in their hand, no matter what we do in the world, we are the mercenaries working to pass on the gold at their hand. That's all. That's not a society that we want. We want a society where everybody has a chance to share that wealth. So we have to redesign the entire thing. So that's the kind of picture that I want to leave with you. Think about it. A big theoretician doesn't have to do that. You can do that. How to undo this system. And it's an alternative. You have to find out. This is the alternative. That we can undo this and make it an economy which can be shared by everybody. And as I was saying, this whole world is built with the basis of greed. So we have to get out of this greed-based civilization. Greed-based civilization is not sustainable. Move into a new civilization, which is based on human capability and human qualities of sharing and caring. And we can do that. This is in our hand. It's not something that somebody out there do that. We do that. Thank you very much. What? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yunus. We had titled this event Building Bridges, Social and Capital, and I'm so glad that we titled it that way because this was such an inspiring lesson in building a bridge in a manner where the capital can flow to every section of society, to those who need it the most. And such an inspiring lesson also in being an action-oriented economist. Thank you so much for that, Professor Yunus. And talking of entrepreneurship, that's very, very close to our heart at NSRCEL. So in developing countries like ours, where capital is a very precious, very scarce resource, we consider it as our natural responsibility as an academic institution and an incubator housed inside an academic institution that we help entrepreneurs figure out not just the sound business head for their ideas, for their business models, but also the social heart of their businesses. So we help them build socially relevant and sustainable working models around their raw ideas. So what are some of the new, innovative, blended, hybrid models that people are contemplating? What is being tried and tested today? What is becoming successful? So let's hear it from our panel today. I'm happy to welcome Professor Saurav Mukherjee. Professor Saurav is the Dean of Programs at IIM Bangalore. His areas of research and teaching include social entrepreneurship and inclusive business models. Our next panelist is Santosh Ramdas. Santosh currently works as Program Officer at Michael and Susan Dell Foundation. He has significant experience in managing large-scale development programs at BRAC. He has also been an entrepreneur himself, co-founding Think Change India. So over to you, Professor Saurav.
It's a very humbling experience to actually sit next to Mike. What I was saying was it's a very humbling experience sitting next to you. You are a person whom we talk about, admire, discuss among our students, so it's wonderful to listen to you speak. You talked quite a bit about social business towards the end of your talk, and I want to take it up from there. We have several initiatives which we broadly call social enterprises, for-profit enterprises which are primarily driven by development objective, almost kind of stuff which you talked about in social business, but they don't have this hard constraint of not taking any dividends. Many of them have impact investors, who are also looking at this opportunity of maybe after 3 or 4 years cashing out. Right? Now, most of these enterprises have a challenge of scaling, because for scaling you need resources, financial resources. So I just want from you to understand that how do you think social businesses will typically deal with this challenge of scale, which necessarily would imply a lot of investment?
Yeah, resources is a second issue. First is, do we have it in our heart? Do we have it in our mind? If we have it in our heart, if we have it in our mind, resource is not a problem. We have it. Everybody has it. It's not something that we have to wait for World Bank to come up with the money or something like that. Anybody can do that. Sparing whatever. You want to do a social business, you find the resources yourself, like you find the resources for conventional businesses, your business, and so on. More than $1 trillion is given away as charity every year. All I'm saying that maybe you want to rethink. You can use part of that charity money for social business investment. If you give it as a charity, charity is a wonderful thing. I love it. Everybody loves it. But one limitation is charity money goes out, does a wonderful work, but doesn't come back. So you have one-time use of your money. If you convert this whole thing, what you do in a charity, convert it into social business, meaning take the objective of the same charity, put a business engine behind it, and it becomes a social business. And then social business money goes out, does the work, and come back. And you can do it again and again and again and again. You expand it, you look everywhere. So that's the power I'm trying to find out. And if you start your life learning in the book that there are two kinds of businesses. One is a business to make money. One is a business to solve problems. As a young person, you'll be wondering which one you will go into. Should you run a money-making business, or you would like to do a social business? And since you're an entrepreneur, I don't imagine that you'll be working. So you have to you have a choice of which one you want. And that choice will lead you to other things. And many people will come up, say, okay, if you have an idea, I have the money. And that's what we just launched today, one of the social business funds right here in Bangalore. Can you stand up? Where Binata can stand up, she's just here. So the message she is giving, I have the money in the fund. If you have an idea, come to us. so that we can invest in your business. Today, Vinata has done. Tomorrow, you will do. Somebody else will do. We tell the business people, you have 2% CSR money. And CSR money is supposed to go into charity. We said, well, charity is a good idea, but there's a better idea. Why don't you invest in social business? And run it with your company name. It's a social business with a company name. That this does solve the problem of water. That's what we do in a business and so on. This solves the problem of healthcare. This solves the problem of education. This solves the problem of poverty. Whatever you do, that create a social business. So that's how money is not the limitation. This is the limitation. Once we open that up, money will flow. And I was giving example just to in a conference when the 8 names came up. I said, look at these 8 people. We love them, we admire them, we take selfie with them. But they have all the wealth in their hand, these 8 people. Next year, probably there'll be 1, because its concentration has become more and more acute. I said, if they give half the wealth they have, half, into social business investment, the whole world's investment need for today is done. Will they give it? Of course. They already have given it. You remember the giving pledge? They already signed it. So it's nothing new. All I'm saying, they gave it to charity. I said, would you consider part of this money to be used in social business? The problem is solved. So it's a given away money. I'm not saying you have to persuade them. There are at least 139, if I remember correctly, 139 billionaires in the world have signed giving pledge. That with their debt, all this money, half the money would be in charity, like signed it up. And some of them didn't wait for their debt. They said, I already give it them. Mark Zuckerberg, if you remember. He kept 1% of his shares. 99% he's given away. He's 99% of the wealth. Already a young man, it's your age, he has given away. And he was in the occasion of the birth of his daughter. He has done this. I said, this is a strange thing. On the occasion of the birth of your first daughter, first child, you give your wealth to the child. You don't deprive her. He proudly deprived her. I give it away. I didn't give it to you. I gave it for the world. It's something. As a young man making a decision. So it's what we are worrying about, where's the money? Money is right here. What we think, what we want to do with ourselves. The whole question is, who are we? What is our purpose as a human being? Once we settle that, all these issues are superficial issues. All will be solved.
Professor Yunus, I'm going to double team with Professor Saurav and ask you, because the width of your talk is a lot of information and interesting ideas. So can you talk a little bit about the enabling legal environment in India for hybrid social businesses to exist? Because today as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure there's a ton of us in the room, there's very dichotomous choices of a for-profit or a non-profit. And a for-profit takes you in a direction, as Saurav was mentioning, towards increased returns, etc. And a non-profit is increasingly seen as unsustainable in many cases. So are you evangelizing more hybrid structures? Do we need them? How can the policy environment in India change to support the social business ecosystem?
Before I answer, I should introduce another person, Shalgikar, who is here. Shalgikar, can you stand up? He set up Shalgikar set up the Social Business Fund 8 years back in Mumbai. He's running it for the last 8 years himself. It's his own money. He put it in the Social Business Fund. He said, I don't need money. What do I do with the money? All the money they have earned, this money goes into doing good things. That's a social business. I love it. So he did that. So this is just one person example. There are many people who would like to do such things, because I tried to make it simple, say why people do that. I said making money is a happiness. That's why people want to make money. Making money is a happiness. Making other people happy is a super happiness. So that's the choice. So if that's what you're looking for, this is an option for you. Find out what you want to do that. And coming back to your question, I try to explain it by saying that if you put it in a spectrum, In the one side is a hard-nosed, hard-hearted capitalist, greedy, 100% profit, nothing else. He doesn't understand anything about the world. He says business is business. Even if his terrible things happen to people in his family, and so he doesn't care because he's so worried. Who's so engrossed with the business? So that's one person, this on this side. Then on the other side is 100% social. He doesn't want any penny out of this business. This is all business, spectrum of the business. Here on this side, the 100% social, 0 personal profit. 100% personal profit, 0 social. This is a spectrum. Then you come close to his, move towards this way. So 99% profit, 1% social. 60% profit, 40% social. 50% profit, 50% social. So you come close. And then last one. Our position in the last point, 0 profit, personal profit, and 100% social. So there's somebody just ahead of this, 99% social, 1% profit. So we will call them by another name, called social enterprise or some social impact, another. But we reserve the name social business for only this kind, which is 100% social, 0 personal profit. So that's nothing you can say per se, this is bad or this is good. It's a choice. You make your choice. You can make it, when you say it's a mixture of social, mixture of profit, the immediate question comes, what is the ratio between them? Are you talking about 99% social, 1% profit? Or are you talking about 99% profit, 1% social? Because that ratio becomes the critical thing. So we got rid of this whole thing in our work. We said we are 100% social. The question of personal profit doesn't arise. It's very simple. So that we know we can do that. So that doesn't mean we are opposed to every other thing. We support them. Only thing sometimes I say, which you prefer, I said my doubt is when you mix something, mix like social and profit, personal profit, well, when you do both, you do less of both. When you do one, you do the maximum of one. So that way probably I'll feel this more convenient to create 100% social, 0 personal. So that's kind of thing. So wherever you're doing, I'm not opposed to those kind of things, and they do that. Hopefully, they will also learn, gradually move towards the 0 personal profit. Then your mind is completely clear. You don't get into the logic of profit. Logic of profit is dangerous. Once you get into it, you can't get out of it. So I want to stay out of personal profit logic. That logic has been so well developed that you cannot escape once you get in the hand of that. So that's my personal choice. This is not I'm saying everybody should do that. All I'm saying is a personal choice, where you want to do, what we want to do. This is a kind of a personal decision one has to make.
You know, one of my questions was that what is your suggestion for an academic institute like IIM Bangalore? I think one of the things which you have already answered is to say that we should stop our placement process because, you know, I'm not very sure how my students will appreciate that, but you know, that's it. Anything else that you would have as an advice for institutes of higher learning that you know we should do to inculcate this feeling that you're talking about? You know, saying that maybe profit has got too much of a prominence in our discourse, and can we bring back the other elements which probably make us complete human beings?
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. The way he said it, I sometimes mention it this way in the campuses like this, there'll be continuous flow of recruiters. I don't know whether recruiters come. In the US universities, they do it all the time. Recruiters come, we do this, and so on, entice you to join their company, and etc. I said, what I'm saying, that financing organizations like the one that we introduced to you, they will be coming and say, come up with a business idea. We have money waiting for you. Then we know something has happened. That the real critical factor is the financing part. You want to do things, but you can't do it. Your hands and feet are all tight because you cannot. Not a single bank in the whole world will give any investment or any loan to an unemployed young person. No way. And that's what we're doing with fund, thousands and thousands of them. And we don't regret. They're doing a wonderful thing, and it's working for them, and it's working for us. It's a social business. We get our money back, everything. So, but no bank will do that. That banking system is grossly wrong, which doesn't answer to the need of the people. What kind of an institution we have if it doesn't answer to my need? So that financial system has to be redesigned, overhauled completely, so that it fits into the need of the people, so that people don't have to go and work for somebody else to begin with.
Professor Yunus, I'm hearing you talk, I definitely had goosebumps. And one of the reasons was, I think there is a sense of manifested destiny here. You know, our foundation, the one I work for, which is Michael Dell's Philanthropy, started its work in India 10 years ago. And one of the early ideas that he encountered was your principles. And that has defined the way we do work. $150 million invested in India. Our first investment was Ujjivan, and we were one of the first investors in Ujjivan. And today we've a portfolio of 26 companies, many of you that meet the definition of a social business. I personally had graduated from business school in 2005, was sitting in Bombay and reading Banker to the Poor, and then decided that I was going to dedicate my career in microfinance, work for 5 years, setting up Greenfield MFIs. And my question, and I know there's a lot of young people here, if the 24-year-old me had the rare privilege of meeting you, what advice would you have given me? And what advice do you have for all the young people, especially in this room, as well as people looking for career changes, in terms of what can we take away from your sense of effect in the world and the destiny?
I would remind that you are lucky people sitting here, all young people here. Lucky because you are here in this institution. Lucky because you are in Bangalore, which is the world capital of technology, which can change the whole world. And you, this group of people right here in this room, kept the power to change the entire world. It's not just exaggerating, simply stating a fact. You have that power inside of you. Only question is, are you aware of it? Only question is, are you going to use it? If you don't use it, it will be all gone. That will be lost to the entire humankind, not just to you. Entire humankind lost that energy, lost that creativity that you had inside of you. You never bothered to bring it up because you took a job which kept you happy, you get a car, you got a house, you got everything. And you didn't say anything else. You are not cut out to be small person, which job makes you. You are cut out to be huge person. Don't compromise. That will be the first advice. And deal with yourself, who you are. You are not as small as you think. You are a limitless person. Only thing, you have to make a decision that I want to find out what is my limit. I will take all the chance to find it out. Otherwise, I'll be gone. I will never know who I am, who I was supposed to be. All I did, I took a company, I liked that company, and I spent the rest of life, and then retired and had a world tour. That's it. But I could change the entire world. One idea that I could come up with, which will transform everything. One idea. Everybody is entitled to have that one idea. And you have that. It's not something that I'm just exaggerating because you're sitting in front of me. And I tell this every young people. Human being is just unlimited in capacity. Simply our system, our society pushes it down. Make you feel a small person. Do chores so that I can take care of my family, my children, and so on. That's not human being is. Human being is to transform the world. That's what the human being. And particularly in this day and age, when everything is in your palm. 50 years back, it couldn't be that way. But today it is possible. And today, in 2017, it's possible. Imagine what it would be in 2027, 10 years now. Everything will be different. Technology will make everything different. Are you ready to use the technology to make all the changes happen? Because those changes has to be here first, before it comes here. So that's that. Unless you challenge it, it will not come to the surface, because society did an excellent work to bury it inside of you so that you never see it. So you have to work against the society. That no, I have to discover myself. I have only one life. I cannot leave it to the other people to tell me who I am. I have to find it myself. And you can do that.
So I know we are towards the end of the time. We would probably have time for a couple of questions from the audience. So I'll leave it to Professor Yunus to choose whom he will listen to, but maybe 2 or 3.
Before we go, I'll just introduce another person. Aarti, where are you? Yeah, can you stand up? She's the one who's doing the social business in India. She called Yunus Social Business, based in Bombay. Just came to attend the meeting today. Hi, Aarti. Yeah, go ahead. Question. You decide.
No, you have to decide.
Oh my God, that's a tricky job for me. I go for here. Yeah, the lady.
The lady in the front?
Yeah.
Closed mindset of people, like like just now, I'm not saying that you have got a closed mindset. You said ideas of youngsters. Now, is it necessary that only youngsters should get a revolutionary? Is it necessary? Are you willing to take a challenge? I'm talking in his presence. If I come to NSRCL here with an idea that will change India, will you accept it? Will you accept it? I don't have any of those attributes which many people have. I don't have any attributes. If I come with an idea which is totally different out of the box, will it be necessary that I have to be an economics professor? Is it necessary that I have to be something else? Can I not be a simple housewife with a big bang idea? Is it possible? I'm challenging this, and because I'm going to come out with something which may, because I'm not afraid of being called a mad person.
Yes.
Okay, I don't mind being called a mad person.
Absolutely.
Okay, and silenced.
Absolutely.
So what was your question?
My question is this: because I'm not putting pressure on you to meet me when I come here.
Okay. Question for Professor Yunus, please, and please keep it short.
Yeah. Just one. I was saying that one doesn't have to be economics professor. And I was explaining that I abandoned economics. I thought I used in a wrong way. I had to learn economics. And I was saying that I'm so happy that I didn't learn banking. And that's why I could do things. Not knowing sometimes is a blessing, because you can do things in your way. You are not dictated by somebody behind you. So feel proud that you are a free person. You can do anything you want. That's your power. Thank you.
Growing public pensions can be seen as a social cause. What stops it from being run as a social business anywhere in the world? That's the question to you.
This is another pet issue of mine about the pension and the pension fund. I said, today, more than $1 trillion in pension fund. If you decide that every one pension holder who has investment in a pension fund decide in every street corner pension fund that we have, that I will let 5% of my pension fund money to be used in a social business pension fund, so that it can take care of all old people, not just for me. All the problems of the world, old people can be solved. Just 5% you're sacrificing, not the capital itself, the earning of it. Whatever I earn in my 5%, this goes into social business. And I don't claim that. I retain my 5% without any income for me. Income goes there. The amount it will generate throughout the world can take care of all the old people in the world in the best possible way, creating healthcare as a social business for the old people. And old people is again something, I said, related to retirement issue. I said, no human being retires. This is another of my issue. Human being is a continuously creative being. The word retirement comes as if now at this date and age that I'm 65 or whatever the retirement age, suddenly I'm useless. Society doesn't need me anymore. I feel helpless. I said, that's a very wrong thing. The word retirement makes you feel that you are now on your mothballed. You stay out. Society moves on, but you can't participate. I said, human being cannot stop being creative at any age until the last breath. It continues. So why should we have that retirement part? I said, I will have phase 1 of my life and phase 2 of my life. Phase 1 of my life, I have to go to school, I have to get ready, I have to get married, have children, get job or entrepreneurship, whatever I do. So I have lots of obligations there. And I say, as soon as possible, I want to move to phase 2. So I'm not waiting for some age limit or something. I decide when I move to phase 2. Phase 2 is the freedom phase of my life. I'm completely free. Now I do whatever I want to do in my life. That's phase 2. And anybody can do that phase 2. I decide that I'm 40. When I'm 40, my phase 1 is over. Whatever I have to do for myself and my family is up to 40. After that, all I do is for the rest of the world. You decide. It's your personal choice. So just a pension when I'm unable to earn and so on, unless you're physically incapacitated, why should you be not earning at all? That's the question I'm asking. Because, as I said, you're a creative person. Because we have been infected with the idea that we have to have a job. That's why I'm helpless. If I'm an entrepreneur, do the entrepreneur retire? No, they keep on. This is their choice. Okay, I give it to my son, he runs it. But I'm an active person. I don't decide on age unless people say, oh, you're old enough, you can retire. Push them. Otherwise, there's no reason I can do many things. And that's the age when I want to do the things for the world, not for myself. I've done enough. So you decide where you draw the line, which part of your life should be devoted for yourself and the rest of it for the rest of the world. Then capital. So pension fund comes very handy to that, to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Bert Wank. I feel very privileged to visit here from Silicon Valley, making this my second home. The start of the art of the start. What do you advise for someone who doesn't have the privilege, for example, being in the 20s, your parents as a great support system. In the 30s, you have responsibilities, you have liabilities, you may have a child. To start something then, it's more difficult. So as we grow in time, there's more burden, so invest fully into a new venture is becoming very challenging. What would you advise, what avenues do you see to fund a social venture that is not a VC raise to support your own livelihood without the social fabric behind it? I think it's a challenge that numerous entrepreneurs face when they want to be fully committed but can't.
One, the one that I quickly respond, I said, if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not a job person, I'm an entrepreneur, I run a business, whatever kind it is, either produce a service or produce a product or whatever I do. As an entrepreneur, when I run a business, I'm entitled to my salary. So I get my salary out of my own business, because I put my day's work into the business and so on. I'm not an investor from outside, don't do anything, just take the profit. I'm running, if I'm running. So I do that. That's my livelihood. I don't have to separate it out, seek my livelihood someplace and run social business someplace else. I can be integral part of that social business. That's my life. So I don't want to separate out life two different ways, because this is what I want to do with my life. Create a social business to solve the most critical problem that I see. For example, I want to save children at birth. That's my social business. I want to make sure every child born on this planet have a healthy life. And I create a social business for that. And there I charge myself the CEO salary or whatever salary, CFO salary, whatever it is. that I'm entitled to, not because I'm taking advantage of it. I'm doing it so I get a salary. So that's my perfect life. And I tell my children, go ahead, create your own business and be on your way. So you don't have to, I don't have to carry you with me. So they will be independent person and will be joining hands. He will be giving me idea, she will be giving me idea, I'll be giving her idea. This is the fun part of life. And we are in the mission of changing the world. Not overnight. I start in small pieces. And that's what the excitement comes. That small piece works, I take the next step, and I get fantastic feeling that yes, I'm doing something, I'm alive. As a human being, I'm a creative being, I'm an alive being. And that's what I do. So I don't see the conflict in that, in the first round. Maybe there are other issues in that. Thank you.
So I think, unfortunately, we are out of time.
Yeah.
although I
One
do
last
that.
question, please.
Professor Saurav, you get to decide.
So,
Okay.
Yes, he has the mic. So
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Thanks.
go ahead.
So, thanks for your suggestions. Myself, I'm an IT professional. I was working for an MNC, but as you said, that entrepreneurship, what interest to start my own company made me stop my company, made me stop my job, get into entrepreneurship when I was a mother of an infant baby. I started my company from home. Well, it was tough for me to convince my clients. And later with struggle and hardship, I can't call it hardship, but struggle, yes, I increased my skills also into AI, artificial intelligence. Now my company is doing good, but there is a problem where when you said everyone is an entrepreneur, all the employees who come to my company learn skills from me and they are leaving my company. That is an attrition. I'm facing lots of model, that I'm unable to, it's a fight between me and myself. Because once I say entrepreneurship is good, yes, I should encourage. But the second part, it's a problem for me. When my employees who have passed out MTech, BTech, or MCA, these guys come and learn skills from me. And because there are greater opportunities outside, they're probably starting their own consultancy. So I don't know how to justify myself. Should I stop training them? Should I stop sharing my skills with them? It's a great advice if you can share with me, because it's a model struggle.
Yeah, it's a very good model because this is what happened. Take them as your partner.
Oh, great. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Grow in business.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
That is,
Absolutely.
well, it's a proprietorship company because I started myself. I never thought in that way.
Absolutely. Be your partner. Let's work together. You learned it and you put your, bring more.
Okay.
We'll have more partners.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
You have a network of partners. Do that. You remind me of something I should mention quickly. In my office, there's an office boy. He does like chores, running around and so on. I lost 3 of my office boys in the last 3 years. They said, you said we shouldn't work. I want to start a business. I said, what kind of business you want? He has very elaborate plan. He said, I need money. I said, okay, I'll be your partner. So I have 3 partners now. And the current one is getting ready. But I take fun, I enjoy it because they run business and they come back and say, this is my business running. I feel very happy that I didn't have to keep him in my office drawing a fixed amount of salary, which is nothing. He's now running a business. He said, if you give me more money, I can make it bigger. I said, yes, I'll do that, provided you convince me that you can run bigger ones, and I'll give the money. This is an investment from me. That's no problem. So that's a risk you take. It's a pleasure. It's not something that we've worried about. This is something you are contributing, creating more entrepreneurs for yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
And that kind of reminds me of something that I read some time back, and it's kind of imprinted on my mind, that the true test of leadership is not just how many people you led, but also how many more leaders you created. So I think this answer says that. So thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Professor Saurav. And of course, thank you, Professor Yunus. And in response to all the questions that we heard here today, So Professor Yunus, coming to fostering entrepreneurship, in fact, in this institution, now entrepreneurship is a core course for all two-year MBA students. So everybody can learn about entrepreneurship and figure their own path out. And to all of them who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, our doors at NSRCEL are always open. In case if we decide to stop placements, we are more than happy to take all the students in our center as well.
Also find the investment money for them.
Yes, yes,
That's
of
the
course.
important thing.
Yes,
Make arrangements.
Santosh
Can
will
be
help
done.
us with that.
If an institution like this stand up, money can come. That's
yes,
no problem.
Yes. And to someone's question on women, housewives, turning entrepreneurs, we have in fact been running a special program for women entrepreneurs. So whatever aspirations you have, please come and talk to us. We are very, very happy to help always. Listen to your ideas. And like I previously said, we are happy to help you form working models which have sound business head and a social heart. So on that note, I think we have had a very illuminating evening here today. As a center, this has been, this has kind of reinforced our belief in the new thoughts that we were ourselves fostering, which is, do we really need to decide between a for-profit model versus a non-profit model? How can we blend both together? Because we have so many entrepreneurs which are trying to do something for social impact, but also build sustainable financial models around that. And I think in that direction, this has provided us a good stimulus to our thinking process as well. Thank you to the audience for being a wonderful audience, and thank you to panel speakers. Thank you once again, Professor Yunus. Good evening to everyone. Thank you.